Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the SS United States channel, where we talk about the SS United States. And well, like part one, we have a different video for you. This is part two of the President's tier list of the United States. It's been a while since I uploaded this. The first part was actually uploaded before I went on break, so that's why this one is so separated from the first part. Sorry about that, uploading this one late. And I hope you guys enjoyed. The first part will be in the link in the description if you want to watch it. And yeah, so as you can see, we just ended off the administration of Roosevelt, and we are moving on now to Taft. So yeah, that's where we left off. And I suggest you watch the first part so you can catch up to this. As you can see, my voice is definitely different because this is recorded after the first part. So yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this video. So for the first part, we have William Howard Taft. Now, Taft is probably going to be a C just behind Harrison. Now, why? Taft really didn't do much. He was elected, a little bit of context. Roosevelt didn't run for a third term, even though he could. He didn't actually run a second term after he took over McKinley. But he could have ran again. He didn't, and chose Taft to run for him. When this happened, Taft was supposed to do what Roosevelt was going to do and be kind of like another version of him, but instead Taft did the opposite. Really, he was way more reformal. Did a lot more reforms, or less reforms, less aggressive kind of in foreign policy and everything. And less eccentric, really. He was a judge before he was president, our only president to be in the judicial branch before. And I think he was in the judicial branch maybe a year after. But then after he didn't, I think he suffered a stroke and then died in 1916. Almost said 2016. But yeah, so not much behind the Taft administration, but yeah. Right here, Woodrow Wilson. I don't care what anyone says. Thomas Woodrow Wilson he took over his middle name, Woodrow Wilson. Probably one of, if not the worst president in American history. This guy was one of the most racist piece of crap ever. This guy right here. Let me tell you about this guy right here. This dude, every time I see him, it makes me mad, bro. Like, the guy put a movie in the White House, A Birth of a Nation, that was about the Ku Klux Klan. Does that not scream racist to you? And then some people may say you didn't know he was screening. You're the president of the United States. Everyone is going to see what you're screening. You better know what you're screening. And then he didn't do anything in his second term because he suffered a stroke. Let alone in the first term, when World War I started, he stated that he would not bring America into the war. Yet, literally immediately after he got president again, guess what he did? Brought us into World War I in 1916, 17, around there. So, Woodrow Wilson, not even a question. F tier, bottom, behind Johnson. Warren Harding, another terrible president. The last one from Ohio, he was terrible, man. He didn't do nothing. He gambled a lot. He drank a lot. And just let really the Roaring '20s happen, which, as we all know, led to the Great Depression. But Warren Harding didn't even finish his first term, as he got, I think it was a heart attack in 1923, and didn't even survive. But Warren Harding, honestly, actually no, Harding I'm gonna put right behind Pierce. I'm gonna put Buchanan. Actually, I'm gonna change this up. Buchanan down here. And I think that's what we're going to keep so far. So, hold on, guys. I had to take Jasper in. But, anyway, like I was saying. Next, we have Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge, automatically going up to A. Why? I'll explain now. Calvin Coolidge is a G. Calvin Coolidge was both funny and he really, did a lot. He did more than many people realize. Now, I will give my discrepancies. Calvin Coolidge led us into the Great Depression with the Roaring Twenties and his economic policy, which it was. I honestly believe the Great Depression was inevitable. It happened everywhere in the world, not as heavy as the United States and Germany, but it was probably going to happen eventually. The Roaring Twenties were everywhere, and it just launched the decade. But Calvin Coolidge was kind of very chill as a president, and both did a lot and didn't do a lot, which in one term, that's probably a good thing. Look at Polk. He did a lot in one term. He had goals, and he did it. Herbert Hoover. Sorry for the noise in the background, but that's why I had to pause the recording and do some. There's gonna be some noise in the background for a little bit, so sorry about that, guys. But anyway, on to the next president. We have Herbert Hoover, which is going under Jackson in D. Why? Now he's not going to F. Why? Because some people really critique Hoover more than normal. Hoover really he led us during the Great Depression, didn't do anything about it. Elected in 1930, 1928. But honestly, the thing is, a lot of people say he didn't do nothing. No, he did some small things in terms of the economy, like repealing laws and adding some economic laws to banks and everything. But that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure I think he might have helped the construction of the Hoover Dam. But besides that, that's pretty much it. I can see why not many really prefer him, but he's definitely not as bad as these guys. Next, we got a big hitter, guys. We got a string of some decent presidents. FDR, a.k.a. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the fifth cousin of Teddy Roosevelt. He is going top B tier. Honestly, actually, why not? Let me switch this around, actually. There you go. Because Coolidge didn't do as much as Roosevelt. But Roosevelt, honestly, solid president. Led us through the Great Depression. Elected 4 times, more than normal. A lot of people may say he's either F tier or S tier because of that fact. But honestly, it wasn't a lot at the time. I mean, even Roosevelt and Grant both tried to do that. He just split the party into two with Taft because he wasn't a nominee in 1912. So he almost made it, and then Grant didn't get the nominee in 1880. But anyway, really, FDR not only led us through the Great Depression, also led us through World War II, pretty much all of it until 1944, when he suffered a heart attack, I believe, and his vice president, Harry S. Truman, took over, which we will also put in top B. Now, Roosevelt, a little bit more about Roosevelt. The reason why he is not S tier or higher in A tier is because of what he did. What else he did? He literally put Japanese like it was the Soviet Union putting people into the Gulag in Siberia, or Germany putting people in concentration camps. FDR did the same thing to the Japanese Americans because it was suspected that Japanese Americans could have been spies and espionage. But even still, that is not a right reason to put. You can't put everyone in concentration camps if there's not enough proof. I'm sorry, FDR, but it's just how it is. But anyway, on to Truman. A lot of people critique Truman for dropping the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Honestly, I think it was necessary. The Japanese would not stop. Even with half their navy destroyed, even with their army debilitated, they were not going to stop. Honestly, I mean, the air raids on Tokyo was ridiculous, and they still didn't stop. So, and honestly, if they did invade the homeland of the Japanese, way more lives would have been taken, and the Soviet Union would have taken half of it, creating another Korean War, I believe. But honestly, it's a positive that he dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Honestly, it'd honestly probably be a different story if he dropped on Tokyo, but he didn't. So still, he also the Monroe Doctrine, or not the Monroe Doctrine, sorry, the Truman Doctrine was honestly it was kind of like a 60-40 law. A lot of it was good, but a little bit was bad. But a lot of it, with America being in a better state than the European countries from World War II, he sent economic aid to presidents of not presidents countries of Europe that was affected in the war, like France, Germany, Austria, and them. Um, I don't even Soviet Union, I believe, but under his watch, the start of the Cold War happened, which was inevitable. We knew how much the land Soviet Union took from Eastern Europe, so we knew that was going to happen eventually. But Truman is definitely a B tier. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Eisenhower, I believe, is going to go right here, top B, and I'll actually put Truman right here. Now, I honestly believe, hear me out, that Eisenhower is a teensy bit overrated. Now, hear me out. He did a lot on the crackdown of communism and the interstate highway, which is amazing. That thing saved many American lives today in terms of traffic and all that and transport. But besides that, what did he do? I mean, the whole assassination and invasion of what was it, Iraq or Iran really changed the ideology of the country and really turned them into enemies with America, which really affects us today. I mean, Iran is still a big enemy of America, honestly, under Dwight D. Eisenhower's rule. So yeah, Eisenhower is a great president, honestly, but he just did not do enough. But next we got JFK, aka John F. Kennedy. The files are being unlocked on him right now, actually, so that's pretty interesting. We'll see how he actually died, if he actually died from just one gunshot or two. But anyway, John F. Kennedy, or JFK, really did more than Truman. I honestly think his handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis was probably the biggest thing in all of American history. Listen, the Cuban Missile Crisis kept us away from World War III. Think about it. There was atomic bombs, thousands at this time. If America, or if JFK did not handle the Cuban Missile Crisis rightly, honestly, it could have been the end of humanity. All of humanity was basically on John F. Kennedy's shoulders. Not only with the Cuban Missile Crisis, the whole moon speech, I still watch that today, and that thing was a triumph. That thing it still gets me shaken up today. Setting a goal like that, such a goal like that, to get to the moon by the end of the decade, come on. So JFK, honestly think he would have been probably, honestly, either top A or low S if he got to serve twice and was president longer and did not get assassinated. Lyndon B. Johnson, I'll honestly say, is a little underrated. Hear me out. I'm putting him low C, borderline D. Lyndon B. Johnson really took over at a rough time. President Kennedy was shot, and he, even at a time of tense relations in the country, he kept it together. He literally said in one of his speeches that he'd do his best to keep the country together, and honestly, he really did. Johnson did pretty well keeping the country together in the reforms and everything. Honestly, there was only maybe two things that I'd probably criticize Johnson for. Lyndon Johnson, not this Johnson right here. But and that's one is the Vietnam War. They dragged on sending more troops and everything to Vietnam. So that's one thing, and as well as like some of the he didn't do a lot. That's another thing. Like, he didn't do a lot, but he did a lot at the same time. But he didn't do enough to keep him up to B or A. So that's where Johnson is. Next, we got Richard Nixon. Now, Nixon's a tough one. He's probably low B. Hear me out. A lot of people are going to say he's F because of Watergate, or yeah. But Watergate was really after a lot. Now, I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of corruption under Nixon's presidency. A lot. Similar to how Rutherford, a.k.a. Rutherford, became president. But there was a lot of corruption. But at the same time, Nixon did a lot. He was one of the first, if not the first president to visit the Soviet Union and China. he was also very like because of that he got us in China onto the right like foot, and that right there really saved us a lot. That I believe that started the Sino Soviet split between China and Soviet Union. So yeah. Now Richard Nixon, of course, resigned in '76, but don't forget, Vietnam War also ended under Nixon. So don't forget that he brought the troops home. So Nixon, honestly, yeah, Watergate and everything, that's a setback. But honestly, he was a decent president. Um, Gerald Ford, I'll put probably right here. Ford is a tough one. He did he did a decent amount of stuff with the stuff he was with the work he was forgiven in only I think 2 years, right? Before Carter took over after Nixon, the whole Watergate. Um, he with the stuff he was given, he did a decent amount of job keeping the president's job still pretty relevant and not keeping it like more positive from what happened with Nixon. Other than that, Gerald Ford really didn't do a lot, but still. Let me move Johnson actually a little bit over here. But Carter, one of the greatest human beings after and before president. Honestly, he did more before president than he did actually president. I mean, the Iran hostage crisis and just really he was too nice, really as well. And just because of that, you got to be nice, but you got to be firm. Really, you got to be firm. This is why presidents like Roosevelt and um, Lincoln's up here, along with FDR. Tough, but they're still, pretty chill. Same with Coolidge, pretty chill, and Eisenhower. But yeah, you gotta be a little nicer, Carter. R.I.P. By the way, Carter died last year. I think no, not last year. Early this year, 2025. Stats where he made it to like I thought 100, 101. So he made it pretty far. Now we got Reagan. Reagan is honestly, I know Teddy Moore and I like Teddy Moore, so he's just ahead of Theodore. Sorry guys, they're doing a whole thing in the backyard, so that's what that noise is. But Reaganomics was good, but not the best. His foreign policy arguably brought down the Soviet Union, the collapse of it. Like the whole tear down this wall, Mr. Gorbachev was a great speech. And without him, honestly, I think he probably kept the Soviet Union collapsing, our biggest rival. So honestly, right there, first place, or A tier. Bush Senior didn't do a lot, similar to these presidents, but he did sign the Disabilities Act, which a lot of people take for granted. Without that act, a lot of people would not be the same. So honestly, for that act, right here. So anyway, next we got Bill Clinton, modern president. He did a lot, but not a lot. His foreign policy, I will say, was pretty good. Not everything he did was pretty great, but hey, at least he did give before he was at president. He gave Roosevelt the Medal of Honor for the Spanish-American War. So Clinton right behind Bush. Now we got Bush Jr. Bush, honestly, it's a tough one. I'll put in front of Van Buren, but honestly, guys, sorry for that. But honestly, Bush didn't do as much as his father. Like he did a lot. Don't get me wrong, but the whole Afghanistan war, dragging that out, the Iran-Iraq war, how Saddam Hussein. Also, another reason why his father is a little bit higher than him, is because of the Gulf War. The Gulf War was pretty well handled, but how he handled 9/11, the speech was pretty good. It was a great speech, but honestly, just how he handled it, I don't think he did enough. Barack Obama, Obamacare really brought down prices for Americans, and honestly, Obama, first African American president, brought some relevancy to civil rights. Yeah, right there. That's another reason why Kennedy and Grant so high, civil rights, which is another thing that I think. Where is he? McKinley. He did that too. Trump, current president and president 2016. Honestly, I'm going to a little bit of my political views. Honestly, Trump is better than Biden. I think Trump is honestly, arguably right here. Trump is just, he kept us, and this is one of his famous speeches. Out of every president of the 21st century, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Biden, he is the only president to keep Russia not from invading a country, and that just says something, honestly. And its economic policies, I mean, gas prices and everything was so low, and honestly, it's an open book for this year. Biden is going right here, probably. Right behind Martin Van Buren. He did a lot, but like the border security, the Hamas war, the Ukraine war, he just didn't handle it as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tier list on every president, literally every president from the first to the 46th, 7th. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know if you guys like this little bit different format, a little bit more regular history than maritime history. And yeah, maybe I'll do more. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.